Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to do a tumble dryer heater replacement on an Indesit Hotpoint or Whirlpool tumble dryer. And I'm going to keep the video super concise but still with all the steps you need, because I know you're just keen to get out there and replace the heater element in your tumble dryers. And don't worry if your machine doesn't look exactly like this one, because the important thing is what they look like from the back. And the Indesit Hotpoint and Whirlpool dryers are all very similar at the back where the heater element is. Okay, so step one is always pull the machine out and then just make sure you unplug it for safety. Next, we just need to take out all of these screws so that we can get this cover off and this one, because the heater element's behind there. So this one just has a couple of screws, one in here and here. So let's just get those off. Now the reason we're taking this off is because a couple of screws are just hidden under the edge of it. Now we're going to take all the screws off that go around the edges of this cover. What you may find is that the screws up near the top that are just going through the sheet are quite short ones, but ones near the bottom, because there's a little bit of plastic behind, might be a longer screw, so it's just worth taking note of that. And then this cover might be stuck a little bit, but it should be possible just to pull it free from the back. And this is your heater element here. And it's got a couple of thermostats on it as well, but that all comes as part of the new part you're going to fit. Now often the heater element's held in to the back cover by a couple of screws as well. So I'm just going to undo those. They're a slightly different screw, but they're still a cross point. And we should be able to separate them now. As you can see, there's a little cable tie here which is holding the wires to the outside cover, so we just need to snip that. And then we can pull that free. So we've almost got the old dryer heater ready to remove, but as you can see the wires are disappearing in here and we have to unplug them from inside the machine. And the way we do that is by getting access through this side panel. And the side panel just has a number of screws up the back which we're going to undo. And there's a screw at the top of the side panel, so we need to take the top off. And there's just two screws that hold this in, one on the left and one on the right, so I'm just going to pop those out as well. And then this cover just slides towards you. Now with the cover off, at the top front corner there's just one more screw. And now it should be possible just to pull this side away, and you can actually just leave it at that, because now we have the access that we need down here. So as you can see here, this is the plug for the heater. Now this here is actually a capacitor that helps the motor start up when the drum first starts to rotate. And so even though the machine's unplugged now, there is a chance that's holding some electricity. So it's best not to touch those terminals there. Now as you can see, this plug here is attached to the capacitor by another tie wrap, so I'm just going to clip that. And now we can just squeeze that tab and unplug our heater. And now finally we can take our old one away. Now this is a bit of an optional extra, but can you see all the fluff that's gathered up everywhere on some of the controls as well? Well, I like to vacuum all of that out if I have the machine open, because it can clog up things and potentially it can be a fire hazard as well. Okay, so just one extra thing to show you here. So this is our old heater, and what you'll find is with this color coding that you see here, when we unplugged it out of the plug, then the orange one went to the orange and the blue went to the blue and everything was fine. And not only that, it has like a little piece of plastic inside it, which means it will only plug in one way, so you can't get that wrong. And usually a replacement part will have all exactly the same configuration. But occasionally when you get a spare part, not only will it have different colours for the wires, but sometimes it won't have the extra little plastic spacer, which means that you can actually plug this in two ways, so that way, or you could actually be 180 degrees out. If you end up in this situation and you're in any doubts at all, then of course you're better off consulting a professional, you know, an electrician to help you out with this. But I'll just show you how I do it, and maybe then you can make your choice on how you feel about it. So what I do is I get the two parts side by side, and I try to look for something that's a little bit unique about them. And so in this case, can you see these two heater elements here? They're linked by this little bar. And when I look on my new replacement one, then you can see the same bar there. Now in this situation, the orange one is the wire that comes to here, and it goes up through one of the thermostats, comes out the other side, and then it runs back to the plug. So we know that this orange wire here is the one that's running to the little bar here. And we know what position the orange wire was in when it plugged into the machine. So that gives us a reference point. Now if we look on our new part coming from the same little bar that joins two of the heater elements, we can see it's a black wire. And if we trace that back, and we have to make sure we're tracing back the correct wire because there's a couple of them here, then the black wire comes to here to the thermostat, and then it comes back out the other side, and then it runs all the way back to the plug here. So where that's orange on the other one, on this part it's black. So let's go back to the machine with that information and figure out which way we need to plug this in. Okay, so on the old heater element, when this was plugged in correctly, orange there went to orange, and this plug could only go in one way, so we knew that was all correct. But we now know on our new part where that says orange, it has to be black. And so that means the correct way for this to plug in is for black to go to orange. And so the correct orientation is this one, like that. Okay, so now that we know that, let's feed our new plug through the little hole that's through the back of the body. And then let's go ahead and plug in with black going to orange and push that in nice and firmly. Okay, so we're ready to fit our new heater into the back cover, ready for putting it back on. And so we just have to put it in a similar orientation to the old one. So I'm just pushing this into place. And then if you remember, just 2 screws hold this up in place. So I'm just going to put those in now. Now if you remember the cable tie that we cut earlier, well, the new part comes with a new one. And what I'm going to do is just use a screwdriver and get under the edge of the old fitting and just pop it through. And then this new one just pushes into the hole that it came from. And now all we have to do is pop this back cover on, remembering that the smaller screws go towards the top where it's just sheet steel, and these larger screws were in the holes nearer the bottom. And then just above it I have this cover to put back on. It had its own screws, which were little threaded screws. And then just finishing off, we have one more tie wrap to fit. This plug was attached to the side of the capacitor. I didn't fit it earlier because I wanted to make sure I had this length of cable correct for when I was putting the heater on the back. Okay, so I just need to push this side panel back into place and put the screws back in. And then get the lid put back in. So when putting the lid on, then you drop it on and then you push it forward, so the opposite of removal. And then we just have the 2 screws that secure the lid, and they're a little bit longer and chunkier, these 2. And now we're ready to plug the machine in, spin it around and get it pushed in place, and then we can go ahead and give it a test. Yeah, so that's definitely getting hot, so that's fixed it. So that's tumble dryer heater replacement completed on an Indesit Hotpoint or Whirlpool tumble dryer. So I hope this video helped you guys fix your machine and maybe even save a bit of money too. If it did, then please drop me a comment or give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more of my content, then please consider subscribing, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. All that's left to say is, you've watched the video, now fix it. Thanks for watching, bye for now.